we are going to look at how to audit a relationship like a business deal.
Which sounds intense.
It is.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about zero-based thinking, which is a terrifyingly effective tool, and we're going to look at something they call the zero criticism policy.
Which I'm just going to flag right now, something I'm highly skeptical about. No criticism in a real marriage. It just sounds impossible.
It sounds completely delusional, honestly, but when you unpack the logic, it becomes really hard to argue with.
Well, let's get into that logic.
Yeah.
Because if we are going to run our love lives like a high-performance organization, we need some ground rules.
Yeah.
And the first rule they discuss is this zero criticism concept.
Right. And to set the stage for this, Brian invokes Dale Carnegie, the classic How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Which is basically the Bible of soft skills.
It is.
Yeah.
And the core principle he pulls out is this. The deepest craving of human nature is the desire to be important, to be valued.
Okay.
So the first job in any relationship, whether you are a CEO talking to a janitor or a husband talking to a wife, is to make the other person feel important, or at the very least do absolute nothing to diminish their sense of value.
So do no harm.
Basically, yes. But Brian isn't just pulling this out of a textbook. He shares a story about his own childhood that explains exactly why he is so militant about this. And it's a pretty heavy story. He talks about his mother.
The bulldog story. I have to say, the way he describes this really stuck with me. It wasn't just, oh, my mom was strict. It was something else entirely.
It was visceral. He says his mother had a memory like an elephant for mistakes. If he did something wrong when he was 10 years old, maybe he broke a vase or forgot a chore, she wouldn't just scold him then and let it go. She would bring it up again when he was 12. And again when he was 15.
He used the phrase, she got her teeth into it like a bulldog.
And she wouldn't let go. Imagine growing up in that environment. You are trying to figure out who you are, but you're constantly being dragged back to your absolute worst moments. You are defined by your errors.
It creates this permanent record.
Yeah.
You can never really start fresh because the archivist is always right there to remind you of your failures.
Exactly. And Brian analyzed that experience and came to a very firm conclusion. Criticism is poison.
He doesn't pull his punches there.
No, he doesn't use soft language at all. He calls it poison. He says it causes pain that can last a lifetime. It destroys self-esteem. It makes people defensive and resentful.
So because of that trauma, and I think we can comfortably call it trauma, he swung the pendulum to the absolute opposite extreme. He and his wife, Barbara, decided that in their family, and even in their company, there would be zero criticism.
None whatsoever.
Okay, play the skeptic with me here for a second, because I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, that is really nice, Brian, but I live in the real world.
Right.
If my employee loses $1 million account because they were careless, or if my partner forgets to pick up the kids from school, silence feels like negligence. You have to correct people, don't you? You can't just smile and say, you are valid.
That is the million-dollar question, and this is where the nuance is really critical. Brian isn't saying you ignore the mistake.
Okay.
He isn't saying you pretend everything is fine when the house is literally burning down. He distinguishes between criticism and constructive feedback based on the direction of time.
The direction of time, what does that mean?
Criticism is inherently past-focused. It looks in the rearview mirror. It says, why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. You always do this.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
It focuses on the event that is already over and cannot be changed.